Hello and welcome to Business Daily on Trust Television, and we are set to kickstart your week with updates from the world of business, economy, finance and the stock market. I am your host, Christiana Amodu Otinya. Thank you for joining on the program today. We begin with the headlines. We start from the petroleum sector. Subsidy removal. Petrol may hit 800 naira litre on subsidy removal, and that's coming from the marketers. Now in aviation, flights grounded as aviation handling company goes on strike. You get to hear more on these stories in the business roundup segment of the program. We'll take a short break. When we come back, it'll be time to go into the stock market. Please stay with us. Now let's get straight into updates from the stock market. We begin from the local buzz here in Nigeria, talking about the Nigeria exchange. Now the positive sentiment on the Nigerian exchange entered into negative territory as we saw the all-share index, the benchmark all-share index, declined by 0.06% there, settling at 52,594.68. On the activity chart, we have a total volume of 143.75 million shares valued at 1.68 billion naira, change hands in 3,100 deals on the floor of the Nigerian exchange. The equity cap settled at 28.66 trillion naira. Now the year-to-date return of the Nigeria exchange closed positive at the close of the week with a gain of 2.62%. Now let's go over now to other African markets. We begin from South Africa. It's a green open for South Africa, up 1.08% there, 80,128. Now South African State Power Company Eskom said it will reduce rolling power cuts over the weekend, but concerns persist over the country's power situation, which remains quite critical. For Ghana, we are seeing a lower open, 0.18% loss there, 2004-3. So it's a mixed bag here. Over in Wall Street, stock futures were little changed Sunday evening as investors weighed a potential slowdown or pause in Federal Reserve interest rate hikes and looked ahead to a busy week of earnings. So we're seeing more of a green close. So the markets are looking forward to what the earnings reports will look like, and that will tell a great deal into the health of the U.S. economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 1.1% there, the S&P 500 1.89% higher, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq surged 2.66%. Investors have been weighing the possibility that the Fed is getting ready to slow the pace of its inflation fighting rate hike. Over in Europe, European markets started the new trading week on an uncertain note, although we are seeing it stay largely positive. The focus, of course, is investors trying to reassess the global economic outlook. The World Economic Forum Davos 2023, of course, just came to an end with the IMF and a lot of business leaders speaking as to what to expect with central banks across the world and the global economy. Over in Asia, shares were also taking cues from US and from the United States, particularly. The Nikkei 225 in Japan up 1.33%. In mainland China, the Shanghai Composite climbed 0.76%, and the Kospi in South Korea up 0.63%. The global markets have been weighing on the possibility of what will be the outlook for especially interest rate. Let's not forget that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria also kickstarts its two-day Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the first meeting for the year 2023, and in the month of January. All eyes are on the CBN Governor Emefiele and his team. What to expect is a tightening, or the CBN will probably change its stance. Experts have said they expect the CBN to tighten or maintain the current rates. In the commodities trades, we're seeing oil prices are also standing at the level of $87.50 per barrel. And this surge we are seeing, we saw the price oscillate for some time around the $79-80 per barrel mark, but we're seeing it climb as high as $87. And this is as a result of optimism from the reopening in China, the world's second largest crude importer. And that is, of course, sending these prices up. For gold, $1,929, also in the negative, 0.12% lower. The only green on this chart is from palm oil, 0.08% higher at $3,892. Now let's go over to the cryptocurrency market and see what the prices are like. The flagship cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, 22,748, down 0.69%. Ethereum is at $1,632. So we are seeing some bullish sentiment return back into the cryptocurrency market, and the Binance coin is at $303.06. But however, investors are always one to be cautious, especially putting monies in investment or schemes that you do not have a grasp or full knowledge of how it works. These are the numbers we have for you on the program today. At this juncture, we'll give you a roundup of business stories, and we'll start from the oil and gas sector. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, recently proposed that the federal government gradually cease the subsidy on PMS, while highlighting the fact that the budgeted allocation for the subsidy will expire in the month of June. Oil marketers, however, assert that while it could be wise to eliminate subsidies, Nigerians should be aware that once the price of gasoline was no longer subsidized, the cost might reach 800 naira per litre. Before putting the judgment into effect, marketers encourage the federal government to make sure that all required infrastructure and measures were in place to enable a less demanding subsidy removal regime. Now to the aviation sector. On Monday, several international flights as well as domestic and international airports in Nigeria were grounded due to a strike by the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, PLC NACO, seeking a pay raise. Many passengers were observed waiting outside the airport terminal at the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 2, Lagos, and the Murtala Mohammed International Airport for their flights that were either delayed or postponed. Those are the stories for the business roundup segment. Our focus on the program today, of course, will be on the perennial issue of fuel scarcity. Now, the gallons are out once again, and the queues have resurfaced. Many will ask, do the queues ever go out? Now we are seeing the queues come back in the FCT and some other parts of Nigeria. News reports are back saying fuel scarcity have gone up. Marketers are saying price were adjusted due to information communications from the regulatory agencies. The federal government is saying no price adjustment was given. There was no decision to adjust the price. That's coming from the Minister of State for Petroleum. I'm being joined on the program by Emeka Okengu, foremost economist, and he'll be giving perspective to this issue. I quickly want to get your thoughts, Doctor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, I really want to ask, do you have fuel, or were you able to get fuel over the weekend?
No, I wasn't. I haven't had fuel in a week. I actually came here in a taxi. It's not about me. It's about those children that must go to school in school buses. It's about our agro products that must come from the hinterlands. It's about the ambulances that must run to get people, quick access to healthcare. It's about our economy, grinding to a halt. That's what's happening. So what you've just described is an economy that's on shutdown, okay? Where you have endless miles and kilometers, of people who might not even get into that, fuel station with more than 5,000 naira in their pockets. Okay, and that wouldn't last them for 1 week. So it's actually a very terrible situation.
Doctor, just before I let you go and come and join you, of course, to kickstart the conversation, I want you to speak to this slant that have come up. It's just some days to the general elections, and some have posited that this might be as a result of some people in some segments trying to put a dent on the APC-led administration. What are your thoughts in 1 minute?
Why would that be? Why would that be? Why would you want to put a dent on the APC administration? It's not only them that is on the ballot. Why would it be? Okay, and you see, Nigeria is not a country where we're very forgiving, if you may. If you look at, the political trends, I mean, APC as a political party is not being put on the block, on the chopping block by Nigerians. They are being put on the chopping block by opposition parties. They still have Nigerians that are, following them, just like, they're following the other political parties. So anybody who's bringing that angle, might not be getting it right. And again, what's the most important, the prize is the presidency. And
yes.
The president is not seeking re-election. So I don't think that argument will hold. What I think is just a failure, a total and complete failure, of governance of the oil sector. That's what this is. And we must leave it at that point.
Okay, we'll come to Dr. Okengu to get more on his thoughts and basically what solutions should come into the discussion around fuel scarcity in the country. It promises to be very insightful. That's just a scoop of what is on the plate on Business Daily for you today. We'll be back after this short break. Stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thank you for still staying there with us. If you're just joining the program, this is Business Daily and we are coming to you from Trust Television. I still have my guest in the studio with me. He is Dr. Emeka Okengu. He is an economist and we'll continue the discussion on issues around fuel scarcity, subsidy, and also matters arising from that discussion. Let's quickly take this report on the current situation in the Federal Capital Territory.
Abuja residents expressed their displeasure that the monster of fuel scarcity in the nation's capital is back, as they either spend precious time in filling stations before they can buy fuel or buy at prohibitive price from the black marketers.
I spent 3 hours at servers by the Canary. 3 hours. I enter here now. The queue is not moving. We that are joining the queue, some people will be maneuver. Paying 500 and join, followed by the outside gates, entering the fuel station and take fuel.
They sell 1 liter for 400. So where will 1 liter take me to? If I want to buy fuel, I have to buy like 20 liter, and how much is that? Buhari meet fuel 85 naira, and now we are bought fuel 195. Some place 300 naira per liter. This is too much.
The black market sellers said it is not their fault that the price is high. We buy fuel from the filling stations for prices ranging from 2,600, 2,700 or 2,800 naira for 10 liters. Then we sell to people for 3,500 or 3,200 naira for 10 liters. A liter is sold for 190 naira in the filling stations. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, gives reasons for lingering fuel scarcity.
We don't get the product from where we purchase the product. The channel of distribution usually starts from the NNPC importing, and NNPC distributes it to private depot owners. And the private depot owners usually send some to their retail outlets, those that have retail outlets, and majority of the volume is being purchased by independent marketers from them. And there is a price template of which they are supposed to sell it to the independent marketers. We cannot in any way continue to depend as a oil producing nation to continue depending on importation of refined petroleum products.
Dollar in Nigeria is not like it used to be before. Diesel in Nigeria is not like it used to be before. Even those that are importing petroleum products and those that are breaking the buck, all of them have their own toll. I will also tell you that vessels that we have been taking before for $60,000 are now $120,000. So who is going to pay for that? So with the independent marketers, we bear the burden because we are the last people that dispenses to the customers.
Motorists and other customers plead with the government to address the problem before it becomes something else.
Doctor, I want to go straight to you now to react to some of the comments we've got there from that report. Nigerians are spending productive hours that should go into other sectors, in staying in fuel queues across the nation. And Ipman is saying fuel importation needs to stop. They are bringing the slant of the forex. Calibrate for me what you think.
Well, I think for me, I would have wanted a response from the NNPC too, because Ipman had said NNPC is a sole importer. And this is actually where you now begin to put this pile up. And he also talked about a price card, okay, where NNPC is supposed to be selling to them as independent marketers. And he also talked about these products being taken to private, depots, for storage. Now, we should be able to make some sense out of this. And until we're able to make sense out of how much indeed NNPC is importing these products, how much indeed they are paying those who are storing it for them, and how much, those who are now buying from them directly, are actually getting from them, you will not be able to make a sense of this story that we've called every name but its real name, which is subsidy. And I've said to you severally, anytime you hear subsidy and it is on a product that is finished and ready to be marketed, it is not subsidy anymore. It has become what they call price differential. That somebody is now buying that product so that some other person can be able to buy it at some certain cost. That's not subsidy. That is price differential. And as long as, and this is where the forces of demand and supply come in. Because what's now happening is that because you want your people to buy this as X amount of money, whoever is producing it now knows that he has a constant market and he begins to shift his prices. Okay, and the more you demand, the more he says to you some other person wants to pay a better price.
Yes.
Now that's one. Two, and even more importantly, is that we've not been able to look at petrol as what it is. It's some kind of, the world today is moving away from diesel engines. Everybody is going the way of renewables. People are making electric cars. African countries are doing this. People are making hydrogen fuel cell cars. How come? In fact, Nigeria actually had even developed this technology, acquired this technology, built the CNG filling stations all around the country. At least I know there are a couple here and there.
Yes.
It was never, ever pursued. All we needed to do was to do that retailing. A lot of advocacy had come around it. How come we are not talking around this thing? So there are three issues here. Issue number one, which is why I thought that we should at least at this point in time call out NNPC. I mean, enough has to be enough. If you're importing this thing and you're not importing enough, and you're importing and you don't have enough facilities to be able to store what you're importing, and you now need to go to these three layers, because from the point of importation and from what I even understand, they are also importing using contractors. So it's not as if NNPC is importing directly. I also think that they have people who are importing on their behalf. So if we don't unlock this mix, first and foremost, to be able to aggregate what really the issues of this subsidy is, and at first they called this subsidy, then they said there was no more longer subsidy, and then they called it under recovery.
Yes.
With the problem, I'll tell you in very simple terms, is the dollarization of the Nigerian economy. And anybody who doesn't understand it won't understand what the other gentleman the PRO, I think, was saying about the vessels that were 60,000 and are now 120,000. It is all about the value of your currency against, the currency that you're purchasing against. Because you will need to change naira to be able to buy a dollar. Now, what used to cost, if naira, well, I mean, even if you go by the official rate of 400 and something naira, which is difficult to come by anyway. But let's use it for the purposes of, understanding what we're talking about here. Now, what used to cost 97 naira is now costing 400 and something naira. That's the implication. So when people understand that when you remove subsidy, fuel will go to 800 naira, that's bladderdash. If you buy fuel at the cost, the cost of dollar, it is going to be discounted when you now convert that cost into naira. That is what will make it come to 800 naira and not subsidy.
Doctor, I want to, because I hear you, I hear all that you're saying around the whole, we've had so many words for just one phenomenon. And I really want to say, what is the solution? And I'm saying this because every time we have a conversation around fuel subsidy, I ask you, even I fear for myself that I'm beginning to sound cliche to you at this point. What really can be done? This started mid-2022. We are almost done with the month of January, going into the elections, after the elections. What really can be done?
What can be done is for us to revert to what we call STI. And STI simply means science, technology, and innovation, to be able to look for other pathways that can help us to fuel, our vehicles at lower costs. Now, there are three opportunities that are very open to us. One is what they call methanol. Methanol has become, a major alternative. In fact, remember that at one time you had some fuels that they brought that they said was dirty fuel. It wasn't dirty fuel. It was just that the methanol content was a little bit higher than what the engines could frack.
Said that,
could frack. That was what the problem was. It wasn't dirty fuel. Now, but all we needed to do was to now align to know what volume of methanol that you can be able to add to fuel to be able to now, make it usable with the kind of engines that will run in Nigeria. Now, you have the CNG. There's a methanol policy that has been existing for all I care for about since 2018. How come we've not been able to take that thing from the policy level and then get it into programs and actions? How come we've not been able to now commercialize? How come we're not able to now begin to push it? And first and foremost, in the days of CNG, and this CNG was about 5-6 years ago, I had pushed it, through one of the military formations. And we had gotten to NNPC to say, why don't we try this CNG thing with government vehicles? Now, these people were ready to guarantee the safety against insurance. And let's first and foremost see, because at that point in time, it was going to be, the consumption rate was going to be 1 to 50 to a liter of fuel. So with a tank full of CNG, you could actually do, maybe 10-15 times the volume and the trip you could do on petrol because of, burning. And you didn't need to remove your engine. All you needed to do was to put the kit at your boot or something, and you retrofit, your lines, your fuel lines into your carburetor, and it's done. I said, what we should do, and this is not a new technology. If you Google as we speak now, countries like Pakistan, countries like Germany, so many countries, about 30, even in the US, CNG is a fuel of choice. Methanol is a fuel of choice. Now, why are we fixated on this monopoly? Why? And you keep talking about derogating, removing subsidy. For me, it's a lot of, it's a singing to the choir, and it's very difficult. In any normal country, people should have lost their jobs. In any normal climate. Because like you said, look at, for the past one week or so, people go out there by 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Friday, Friday to Sunday, every day of the week. And then you saw the gentleman who said they stayed there for 3 hours. To be able to, you go, there are places that sell for 300 naira if you have money to buy, and they don't even sell the correct volumes. You buy that 300 fuel, it's not even showing on your tank.
Doctor, I want to also bring in the slant because I was going through some articles, and even I and my colleague were having discussions, and we saw the issues around the energy crisis that did come up globally.
Yes.
And you just mentioned some countries that have keyed into the CNG solution for issues around the oil and gas sector.
Yes.
But we're having crisis around energy costs in those countries too.
Yes.
What do you think about that? These are the countries we're trying to look up to, and they are also complaining.
Well, you see, they are complaining against what they earn. Okay, they are complaining against their earnings because they are earnings. But you don't even have any earnings. So you're not the same. They're complaining against the population.
The Nigerianness in me want to tell you, doctor, don't tell me that I don't have any earnings.
Do you?
I'm
not talking about
reality.
you now
Yes.
that is being paid.
Yes.
For every one of you, okay, there is 10,000 that does not have a job. And that's why you have 133 million of your countrymen that are in multi-dimensional poverty. Not just one level of poverty. Poverty, access to healthcare, access to education, access to housing, access to transportation. Okay, now that's what multidimensional means.
Yes.
Now, for those of you who are employed, you now even have at least another 50% of those who are employed underpaid, underemployed. Okay, now so you're not looking at this country where the basis is skill. Okay, energy cost has increased. You'll no longer be able to save on XYZ, but there's disposable capital. You can't start comparing that with you that has nothing. Okay, and in a family of 5 or 6, maybe 1 or 2 of you are employed, you have 16 dependents, your salary is 200,000, and by the end of the day, you're not earning 800 naira in a day. If you now begin to now share, your earnings amongst your kith and kin who are dependent on you.
Doctor, we'll continue to monitor these situations. Thank you for always coming on the program to share
Nigeria.
your thoughts on issues around the Nigerian economy.
Thank you.
And that's where we wrap it up for Business Daily today. Thank you for investing your time with me on the program. You can catch up on all updates making the rounds in the polity news, of course, from our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also join the live stream. I am Christiana Amodu Otiya. Thank you for joining in. Continue to stay safe.